He didn't answer that. Not that either. Maybe one day for this. He didn't answer that. Do you ever look back at old prayers and realize that some of the things that you begged God for never happened? The prayers that you were so sure that God was going to answer and then He didn't? Because we talk a lot about faith when miracles happen. We don't talk enough about faith when they don't.
Hey, I'm Shannon, and this is the Before You Go podcast. A few minutes of truth for the road ahead.
Because what do you do when you prayed, believed, trusted, and the answer still wasn't what you wanted? I think a lot of people quietly drift in moments like that. Not always because they stop believing in God, but because they don't know what to do with disappointment. And before we go any further, let me say this very clearly. This is not me trying to tie pain up in a nice little bow. This is definitely not me saying, well, God just had something better. Because if you've ever walked through real heartbreak, disappointment, or grief, then you know how empty that can sound. There is this moment in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, that honestly gets me every single time. And if you've never opened a Bible before, stay with me, because what happens here feels incredibly human. This is Jesus towards the end of his life. And what's so powerful about this moment is, yes, Christians believe that Jesus is the Son of God, but he was also fully human, which means that he felt pain and pressure and emotion. By this point, he knew what was coming. He knew betrayal was going to come. He knew suffering was ahead. He knew death was ahead. And he goes into a garden called Gethsemane to pray. And what I love about this moment is that he doesn't pretend. He doesn't show up trying to sound strong. He doesn't pray some polished church prayer. He's honest. He basically says, if there is just any other way, I would prefer that. That's what scripture means when Jesus says, let this cup pass from me. The cup isn't literal. He's talking about what he's about to walk through, the outcome that he doesn't want. And honestly, how human is that? How many of us have prayed that exact prayer? God, if there's just any other way, I prefer that. And what makes this moment so powerful isn't that Jesus didn't want pain. It's that he brought his honesty to God. Because I think sometimes people assume faith means never questioning, never struggling, never feeling disappointed. But Jesus literally does. And then comes the hard part. The answer isn't the one that he wanted. And I want to be careful with this because this is where people can get hurt if we oversimplify this. This isn't about pretending pain makes sense. It's about recognizing that sometimes faith doesn't look like the miracle that you prayed for. Sometimes faith looks like trusting God in the middle of the thing that you desperately wanted him to change. And what wrecks me is this: the outcome didn't change, but God's presence never left. And I think sometimes we confuse unanswered prayers with abandoned prayers. Those are not the same things. So before you go, if you're in a season where the answer just wasn't what you were hoping for, just remember this. If anyone understands what it feels like to ask for a different outcome, it's Jesus. So if life has been hard, if faith has been feeling shaky, that doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you're human. And just because you don't understand what God is doing right now does not mean that he's not with you.
Hey, thanks for listening today. If this conversation encouraged you, there's a good chance it can encourage someone else too. So if a friend, coworker, spouse, or family member came to mind while you were listening, send this episode their way. For more episodes, resources, and updates, visit bygpodcast.com. You've been listening to the Before You Go podcast, truth for the road ahead.